Didn't know the words at first, just a feeling deep inside, like a whisper in the dark that I couldn't quite define. Every step I tried to take felt uncertain, felt unsure, but something in the quiet space was telling me to move once more. Speaking out loud, didn't even bow my head, but in every silent thought there were things I never said. Every tear I tried to hide, every moment I withdrew, was a language of its own that was reaching out to you. Didn't call it faith back then, didn't know what it could be, but somehow in the brokenness, something stronger carried me. At where I've been and the roads that led me here, all the silence, all the pain now begin to feel so clear. Every breath I couldn't hold, every night I couldn't sleep, every question without words was a prayer from deep in me. And I know it now at last, never truly alone, even when I couldn't speak. You had heard me all tears, silent cries, I can see it in their eyes. If I pass them by today, what is left for me to say? If I hear but never move, am I living out the truth? Let me be your hands, Lord, let me be your voice. Let me show your love to those who have no other choice. Let me be your light, Lord, shining in the dark. Use my life to bring your hope into a broken heart. let it point to you, my King. Let me show your love to those who have no other choice. Let me be your light, Lord, shining in the dark. Use my life to bring your hope into a broken heart. Oh, let me be your hands. Chasing dreams I couldn't hold, trying to feel what felt so cold. Every road I chose to take led me to another break. Every answer I believed turned into what I couldn't keep. I was running from the truth, trying to hold on to my youth. Didn't know what I would find, but I left it all behind. Then I heard a voice so clear, through the noise, through the fear. Through every road I walked alone, you were there to lead me home. Through every fall, through every fight, you were with me in the night. Through every doubt I couldn't see, you were reaching out for me. Now I stand and finally know you were there through every road. where the dust road bends by the cotton field, and the sunset shines on a wagon wheel. There's a screen doorbell with a tender ring, and a little store that taught the town to sing. Delilah May ran Jubilee store, with flour sacks stacked by the wooden door, a coffee tin, a checkerboard square, and a rocking chair for anyone there. She sold brown sugar, thread and beads, lantern oil and garden seeds, but on the counter by the Bible worn sat a penny jar from a time before. It had no lock and it had no name, just a paper tag with a faded frame. Take what you need, leave what you can, the Lord still works through an open hand. Delilah said a penny small can answer when the proud may fall, and what looks little in our eyes may be enough for heaven to multiply. There was grace in the penny jar at Jubilee store, for the weary hands that couldn't carry more. Copper coins and folded prayers, hope left quietly sitting there, not rich in silver, not dressed in gold, but warm as mercy. When the nights turned cold, when the road ran empty, when the cupboards were poor, God kept giving through the penny jar at Jubilee store. One dry summer when the creek went thin and the county fields were tired again, a young girl came from the railroad side with a bruised up heart she tried to hide. Her name was Millie from the Mill Road Bend, with no safe place and no steady friend. She bought one apple and a loaf of bread, counting coins with her eyes down red. Delilah saw her trembling hands, saw shame stand close like a shadowed man. She pushed the jar across the pine, said, "Child, mercy, don't count every dime." Millie whispered, "I can't pay this back, I'm already walking a broken track." Delilah smiled through the afternoon, grace don't wait till the debt is through. The screen door sang in the summer heat, dust rose soft around Millie's feet, and something in that simple place felt like the Father making space. There was grace in the penny jar at Jubilee store, for the weary hands that couldn't carry more. Copper coins and folded prayers, hope left quietly sitting there, not rich in silver, not dressed in gold, but warm as mercy. When the nights turned cold, when the road ran empty, when the cupboards were poor, God kept giving through the penny jar at Jubilee store. Weeks went by and the rain cloud stayed far beyond the hills where the bluegrass swayed. Millie came back at the edge of night, holding something wrapped up tight. She had taken more than bread that day, a silver brooch from the counter tray. Her hunger had spoken louder than truth, and guilt had followed her all the way through. She laid it down by the penny jar, said, "I don't know how I drifted this far. I thought if I carried one pretty thing, maybe I'd remember I was worth something." Her voice never made shame out of Millie's choice. She took the brooch and held her hand, said, "Child, worth fate, something you steal or earn. Sometimes forgiveness starts in a store, with rain-wet eyes by a wooden floor. Sometimes the Lord will turn a wrong into the first line of the healing song. A copper coin, a borrowed grace, a trembling soul in a humble place, a woman's kindness, a daughter's tears, a savior walking through wasted years. And every heart that comes undone can still be gathered by the Holy One. pennies in her palm to hold. She said, one is for the road behind, one is for the peace you're gonna find. And when you think the Lord is through, let these 2 coins remind you. By autumn, Millie swept the floor, stocked the jars at Jubilee store, learned to smile when the church bells rang, and joined the women when the choir sang. The penny jar grew day by day, with garden nickels and notes that prayed. Some left sorrow, some left thanks, some left hope from their riverbanks. There was grace in the penny jar at the Jubilee store, for the weary hands that couldn't carry more. Copper coins and folded prayers, hope left quietly sitting there. Not rich in silver, not dressed in gold, but warm as mercy when the nights turned cold. Now Millie keeps the counter bright and leaves the porch lamp on at night, for every traveler worn and poor who finds their way to Jubilee store.
The old hymn beneath the pines still echoes through the trees, where the Sunday morning sunlight fell like gold upon the leaves. Mama sang it softly, with her Bible in her hand. Daddy stood there quiet, like a faithful gentleman. Time may change the hillside, and the old path may be gone, but every breeze through those pines still carries that sweet song. The old hymn beneath the pines still brings the old days near, like a prayer across the morning, like a voice I used to hear. The old hymn beneath the pines still lifts my weary soul. Every note a golden memory, every line that makes me whole. There were children chasing sunlight, there were flowers by the lane, there were hands that held together through the sunshine and the rain. Grandma hummed the harmony with a tear she tried to hide, and I learned that grace could find me with the Lord close by my side. Now the years have crossed the valley, and the road has changed its view, but when the old songs find me, I am standing there with you. The old hymn beneath the pines still brings the old days near, like a prayer across the morning, like a voice I used to hear. The old hymn beneath the pines still lifts my weary soul. Every note a golden memory, every line that makes me whole. Pine sway, ooh, like yesterday. Ooh, every melody brings that old faith back to me. If I could walk that hillside one more morning in the light, I would thank the Lord for every song that held me through the night. For love is in the stillness, in the roots beneath the ground. Every prayer we sang back then still rises in the song. The old hymn beneath the pines still brings the old days near, like a prayer across the morning, like a voice I used to hear. The old hymn beneath the pines still lifts my weary soul. Every note a golden memory, every line that makes me whole. The old hymn beneath the pines still reminds me I am blessed by the hands that prayed above me, and the love that gave me rest. Ooh, let the old pine sway, yesterday. Ooh, every melody brings that old faith back to me. So when the morning rises and the old song softly shines, find my way back home again to the hymn beneath the pines. old well by the willow still stands behind the house where the summer birds were singing and the world was soft and quiet. There were buckets by the garden, there was sunlight on the stone, there were voices in the distance calling every child back home. Time may dry the pathway and the leaves may drift away, but love still draws the water from the wells of yesterday. The old well by the willow still brings the old days near, like a song across the meadow, like a voice I long to hear. The old well by the willow still shines through memory, and every golden moment there comes flowing back to me. Mama washed the morning dishes, Daddy worked beneath the sun, Grandma hummed a Sunday hymn when the evening chores were done. There were peaches on the table, there was laughter after rain, and I never knew those simple days would be hard to find again. Now the house is only memory, and the fields have changed their name, but when the old songs find me, I can hear that well again. The old well by the willow still brings the old days near, like a song across the meadow, like a voice I long to hear. The old well by the willow still shines through memory, and every golden moment there comes flowing back to me. Ooh, let the waters flow. Ooh, where the old winds blow. My old home back to me. If I could stand there one more time beneath that willow tree, I would thank the Lord for every hand that carried love to me. For home is not a place we lose when the years begin to roam. It lives inside the old songs and keeps calling our hearts home. The old well by the willow still brings the old days near, like a song across the meadow, like a voice I long to hear. The old well by the willow still shines through memory, and every golden moment there comes flowing back to me. The old well by the willow still reminds me I am blessed by the simple kind of loving that gave my weary heart its rest. Ooh, let the waters flow. Ooh, where the old winds blow. Ooh, every melody brings my old home back to me. So when the evening settles and the old songs softly glow, I'll meet my heart beside the willow where the gentle waters flow.
Chasing that setting sun, didn't know where the road would go. Just a restless heart and a soul on the road. Years went by and the dust rolled in, tried to hide all the mess I'd been. Every turn took a piece of me, till I lost what I used to be. Then I heard through the wind and trees voice calling out to me. Down by the river bend I found your grace, right where my past couldn't hide my face. Every wrong, every broken part was washed in the water of your heart. Down by the river bend I let it was washed in the water There's a road that climbs past the cedar trees, where the morning fog hangs low, and an old brass bell in a white frame church still sings to the valley below. Martha Lee was the postman's wife, with silver hair and a gentle smile. She knew every name on Cedar Hill, every broken gate and windowsill. She carried letters through rain and heat, past tobacco barns and fields of wheat, and tucked a prayer in her coat each day for every house along the way. She said, some folks write what they cannot say, some hearts wait years for one kind phrase, but Jesus reads the lines between every sorrow left unseen. When the bell rang over Cedar Hill, the whole town stopped and the air stood still, like heaven calling through the pines, saying, child, you are still mine. When the road was steep and hope was hard to feel, grace came rolling through the valley. When the bell rang over Cedar Hill. One autumn day near harvest time, Martha found a letter with no return line, addressed to a man named Samuel Reed, who lived alone by the cottonwood trees. He hadn't spoken much since his daughter left, carried old regrets like a stone in his chest. Folks would wave, but he turned away, lost in words he never got to say. Martha placed that letter in his hand. He trembled like he could barely stand, and when he read the first line there, his eyes filled up like answered prayer. When the bell rang over Cedar Hill, the whole town stopped and the air stood still, like heaven calling through the pines, saying, child, you are still mine. When the road was steep and hope was hard to feel, grace came rolling through the valley. When the bell rang over Cedar Hill. The letter said, Daddy, I'm coming home. I've been tired of living all alone. I don't know if forgiveness waits, but I'll be there by the old church gate. That Sunday morning, the clouds hung low. Samuel stood where the wildflowers grow, and when a blue car came up slow, he ran like mercy down that road. No sermon preached, no choir began, just a father holding his child again. And Martha wiped her tears away as the church bell woke the hills that day. Some bells ring out for weddings bright, some for souls who found the light, some for storms that pass us by, some for tears we no longer hide. But every sound of grace we hear, every call that draws us near, is the Father saying, come back home. the air stood still, like heaven calling through the pines, saying, "Child, you are still mine." When the road was steep and hope was hard to feel, grace came rolling through the valley. When the bell rang over Cedar Hill, when the bell rang over Cedar Hill, broken hearts began to heal. Old regrets fell like autumn leaves, and love became something they could believe. So when you're far and your wounds feel real, listen for the Savior calling, like a bell over Cedar Hill. Past the pines, past the rain, mercy still calls every name. The bell rang over Cedar Hill, "Child, you are still mine." On County 9, where the wheat fields bend, past the rust-red barn and the old fence in, there's a cedar box by a diner door, where hungry hearts find something more. Ruby Jane woke before the rooster cried, tied her apron as the moon hung high, kneaded flour with her window raised, humming old hymns from her childhood days. She ran a diner by the two-lane road, where truck lights passed and the north wind blowed. Coffee was strong and the biscuits were wide, and every stranger got a chair inside. Folks said Ruby had a quiet way, never made much, but she gave each day. Left fresh bread in a cedar box, with a note held down by a river rock. It said, "Take what you need, leave shame behind. The Lord feeds sparrows and He knows you're mine." She never asked who could pay or why, she just watched mercy rise like morning light. There was grace in the bread box on County 9, warm as sunrise, plain as twine. For the weary traveler, for the broken kind, God left mercy on the county line. When the road ran empty, when the night turned cold, love was waiting where the wheat fields rolled. There was grace in the bread box on County 9, and heaven smelled like bread sometimes. One hard winter when the frost came deep, snow lay heavy on the cattle and sheep. The highway closed by the railroad track, and every porch light faded black. A young mother with a child in tow walked 3 miles through the sideways snow. Her hands were red and her coat was thin, but the diner light was glowing within. Ruby saw them from the kitchen pane, opened the door in the freezing rain, wrapped the child in a flour sack quilt, and warmed the soup that the morning built. No sermon came from Ruby's tongue, just a wooden spoon and a hymn half sung. But the mother cried at the table there like she had finally found a prayer. Ruby said, "Child, you don't owe me a thing. This table belongs to the servant king. I've had empty shelves, I've had sleepless nights, but the Lord still multiplies what we give in light." There was grace in the bread box on County 9, warm as sunrise, plain as twine. For the weary traveler, for the broken kind, God left mercy on the county line. When the road ran empty, when the night turned cold, love was waiting where the wheat fields rolled. There was grace in the bread box on County 9, and heaven smelled like bread sometimes. Spring came back with a muddy road, green pushing up where the fence post leaned. The little child grew strong and bright, dancing barefoot in the diner light. The mother stayed and swept the floor, painted fresh blue on the kitchen door, learned the recipes by Ruby's side, and found her laughter after years had cried. Then word went round through the county wide that a factory closed on the riverside. Men and women came with empty hands, looking for work in a worried land. Ruby took the bread box off the wall, set it right in the middle of the hall, said, "Bring what you can, take what you need. We'll plant this town like a mustard seed." Some brought flowers, some brought beads, some brought stories of broken dreams, some brought nothing but tired eyes, still found a place where hope could rise. The Lord can use a loaf made small, a cracked clay bowl, a diner wall, willing heart, a table wide, to show the lost they're still inside. There was grace in the bread box on County 9, warm as sunrise, plain as twine. For the weary traveler, for the broken kind, God left mercy on the county line. When the road ran empty, when the night turned cold, love was waiting where the wheat fields rolled. Now every Sunday, when the church bells shine, they break fresh bread at a table of pine. There is grace in the bread box, still passed hand to hand, like manna falling softly on this hard work land. What looked too little, God made enough in time. There was grace in the bread box on County 9, on County 9, where the wheat fields bend. There's a cedar box by the road's far end. Take what you need, leave shame behind. The Lord still feeds his children right on time. There was grace in the bread box on County 9. On Cedar Lane, where the porch boards sigh, and the cornfields wait beneath a cloudless sky, there's a rain barrel by a garden gate, holding stories of a patient faith. Nora June lived in a house of pine, with blue glass jars on the windowsill line, a patchwork curtain and a screen door song, and a Bible that had carried her all life long. She lost her husband in an autumn rain, but kept his roses by the walking lane. Every morning with the sunrise low, she talked to God where the green beans grow. The summer came with a thirsty hand, cracked the creek and hardened the land. Cattle stood by the dusty fence, and every prayer felt heavy and tense. But Nora said the Lord still knows where the hidden water flows. Even when the clouds don't show their face, there's still provision underneath His grace. There was faith in the rain barrel on Cedar Lane, waiting through the dry spell, waiting through the pain. Not much to look at, just wood and iron rings, but the Lord can fill an empty place with everlasting things. When the sky stayed silent and the fields turned plain, hope kept standing by the rain barrel on Cedar Lane. The town had gathered by the courthouse wall, counting what was left for one and all. Some had wells gone bitter and low, some had children with nowhere to go. Nora brought a wagon down the road with mason jars and a humble load. Said, I ain't got plenty, but I've got some, and mercy grows when it starts to run. She poured out water for the smallest hands, for widows, flowers, and garden lands. No one knew how her barrel stayed halfway full at the end of each day. A little girl asked Miss Nora how, when there ain't one cloud above us now. Nora smiled as the daylight waned. Child, God remembers every drop of rain. She didn't speak like a prophet proud. She didn't call down thunder from a cloud. She just gave what she could not keep, and trusted heaven with the deep. There was faith in the rain barrel on Cedar Lane, waiting through the dry spell, waiting through the pain. Not much to look at, just wood and iron rings, but the Lord can fill an empty place with everlasting things. When the sky stayed silent and the fields turned plain, hope kept standing by the rain barrel on Cedar Lane. By August heat the dust blew red, and worry slept in every bed. The old church garden had nearly died, with yellow leaves on either side. Nora walked there at the break of dawn, carrying water till her strength was gone. One cup for tomatoes, one for beans, one for every little mustard seed. Folks began to follow her there. Some brought buckets, some brought prayers, some brought nothing but tired knees, and knelt down low beneath the trees. Then a wind moved soft through the county line, bent the grass like a holy sign, and somewhere far past the western hill, the thunder answered quiet and still. Sometimes the blessing don't rush in fast. Sometimes the first drop is meant to last. Sometimes the miracle starts so small, you almost don't see it come at all. A cup of water, a neighbor's hand, a widow standing on thirsty land, a barrel waiting, a heart made brave, a God who knows what love can say. Cedar Lane, where the porch boards sigh, rain still sings when the clouds roll by.
The day we found the old road, the grass was growing high, with the sunlight on the fences and the clouds across the sky. You were laughing by the roadside with your hand held close to mine, and the radio was playing like a song from sweeter times. We had no place, we had to hurry, no heavy world to bear, just the sound of old wheels turning and a little answered prayer. Take me back to the old road where the golden memories shine, where every song upon the radio made your heart feel close to mine. Take me back to the old road where the warm winds used to roam. Every mile we drove together still knows the way back home. There were wildflowers by the ditches, there were barns of faded red, there were dreams beneath the silence in the little words we said. You would point toward the distance like tomorrow had a light, and I believed that love could carry every sorrow through the night. Now the years have crossed the valley and the map is worn away, but every old song finds that road and brings me back today. Take me back to the old road where the golden memories shine, where every song upon the radio made your heart feel close to mine. Take me back to the old road where the warm winds used to roam. Every mile we drove together still knows the way back home. If time would give one evening on that hidden road again, I would hold your hand more gently and let the music never end. For love is not a lost road when the heart remembers well. It lives inside the old songs and the stories we still tell. Take me back to the old road where the golden memories shine, Every song upon the radio made your heart feel close to mine. Take me back to the old road where the warm winds used to roam. Every mile we drove together still knows the way back home. Take me back to the old road where our simple dreams were true, where every bend beneath the sun was leading me to you. Ooh, the old road calls, ooh, through the fields and walls. Ooh, every melody brings your love back home to me. So when the evening turns to gold and the old songs softly roam, I'll meet you in that memory on the old road leading home. The old chapel steps still rise inside my mind, where the morning sun was gentle and the world felt sweet and kind. Mama held my hand so softly, Daddy stood beside the door, and the hymns we sang together still are living evermore. Time may fade the doorway and the flowers by the rail, but every prayer once whispered still can lift me when I fail. The old chapel steps still carry me today to the golden days of mercy where my heart first learned to pray. The old chapel steps still shine through memory, every time the old songs play, they bring that faith back home to me. There were children dressed for Sunday, there were bells across the town, there were tears inside the singing when the grace came falling down. Grandma smiled beneath her white hat with her Bible worn in blue, and I never knew those mornings would become the light I knew. Now the years have crossed the valley and the old road bends away, but I still feel that chapel calling when the music starts to play. The old chapel steps still carry me today to the golden days of mercy where my heart first learned to pray. The old chapel steps still shine through memory, and every time the old songs play, they bring that faith back home to me. Ooh, let the old bells ring. Ooh, let the faithful sing. Ooh, every melody brings that old faith back to me. If I could kneel there one more time beneath that morning light, I would thank the Lord for every hand that held me through the night. For love was in those quiet steps, in the tears and in the song, and every prayer we left there still keeps carrying me on. old chapel steps still carry me today to the golden days of mercy where my heart first learned to pray. The old chapel steps still shine through memory, and every time the old songs play, they bring that faith back home to me. The old chapel steps still remind me I am held by the love that raised my spirit when my younger heart once fell. Ooh, let the old bells ring. Ooh, let the faithful sing. Ooh, every melody brings that old faith back to me. So when the morning opens and the old songs softly rise, I climb those chapel steps again, in the light behind my eyes.
Passed me by with a calm and gentle smile. He said, "Child, don't be afraid, there's a path already made." Then he walked there by my side, through the valleys, through the night. He was there along the way, every night and every day, in the silence, in the rain. He would call me by my name. I didn't know who he could be, why he stayed so close to me, but I felt a peace inside as he walked there by my side. When I stumbled, when I fell, he was there and knew me well, lifted me with gentle hands, helped me rise again to stand. He was there along the way, every night and every day, in the silence, in the rain. He would call me by my name. I didn't know who he could be, why he stayed so close to me, but I felt a peace inside as he walked there by my side. Then I saw with opened eyes, it was you in disguise. Every step, every mile, it was you there all the while. closer than my skin. Every step, every stride, you were walking by my side. There's a gravel road I used to know, winding where the wild grass grows. Took it far just to find my way, but I never made it past yesterday. Left behind what I couldn't fix, chasing dreams in the middle of this. Every turn just led me back to the weight I couldn't unpack. Then I heard you call my name through the dust, through the rain. Right where the gravel road turns home is the place I'm not alone. Every mile that led me here was your hand that drew me near. Right where my broken heart let go, I found grace I didn't know. Now I walk, now I see, you were always there for me. I've been lost in a crowded town, trying hard just to slow it down. But the quiet truth I couldn't deny was waiting where I said goodbye. Every road that I outran led me back into your plan. Right where the gravel road turns home is the place I'm not alone. Every mile that led me here was your hand that drew me near. Right where my broken heart let go, I found grace I didn't know. Now I walk, now I see, you were always there for me. No map, no sign, still you were right on time. Through the dust and the unknown, you were leading me back home. Right where the gravel road turns home is the place I'm not alone. Every mile that led me here was your hand that drew me near. Right where my broken heart let go, I found grace I didn't know. Now I walk, now I see, you were always there for me. You were always there for me. Where the gravel road meets the barley field, and the sunrise lays gold on a wagon wheel. There's a blue tin box by a cedar post, holding prayers from the ones who need them most. Nellie Ray lived past the county bend, where the fence line leaned and the pine rose end, with a porch full of flowers and coffee cans, and a Bible worn soft by her weathered hands. Her husband had gone in a winter storm, but his old work coat still kept her warm. And every morning when the rooster cried, she'd walk to the mailbox with hope inside. Folks used to laugh at the painted blue, said ain't no mailman coming through. But Nellie smiled and shook her head. It ain't for bills or news, she said. It's for the names too heavy to say, for the tears that fall when we try to pray. Leave your sorrow folded small and trust the Lord can read it all. There was mercy in the mailbox on Redemption Road, where the weary left burdens they could no longer hold. No stamp, no address, no perfect words to show, just paper prayers where the wildflowers grow. When the rain came down, when the cold wind blowed, heaven kept listening on Redemption Road. First came a farmer at the edge of spring, with dust on his boots and a wedding ring. He wrote one line on a feed store receipt: Lord, help me stand when I feel too weak. And King came a teacher from the chapel side, with tired eyes she tried to hide. She slipped in a note at the close of day for every child who has lost their way. A little boy brought a folded page, crayon and blue with a shaky name, for Mama's cough and Daddy's job, and for my dog who ran from home. Nellie never opened a single plea, just laid both hands on that cedar tree and prayed till evening turned the fields to flame, calling every soul by grace, not shame. She said, Lord, you know what ink can tell, every silent ache, every hidden well, and what we place beyond our control is never lost from your loving hold. There was mercy in the mailbox on Redemption Road, where the weary left burdens they could no longer hold. No stamp, no address, no perfect words to show, just paper prayers where the wildflowers grow. When the rain came down, when the cold wind blowed, heaven kept listening on Redemption Road. One August night with the heat laid low, a storm rolled in where the soybeans grow. Lightning flashed on the pasture gate, and Nellie heard footsteps after 8. A young woman stood in the pouring rain, with city dust and a face full of pain. She held a letter against her chest, like one last piece of a long unrest. Nellie knew those green eyes well, the same ones she'd missed since the last church bell. Her daughter Claire, who had run away after bitter words on a summer day. Neither spoke while the thunder cried, old hurt standing on either side, till Claire reached out with trembling hands and said, Mama, I don't know where I am. Sometimes forgiveness waits by the road in a blue tin box with a cedar post. Sometimes a mother's 10-year prayer is answered barefoot in the rain-washed air. Sometimes the Lord don't hurry the mouth. Sometimes He walks with the wandering child, through neon nights, through empty rooms, through broken pride and borrowed shoes. And when love finally finds its way it never made it past the heart. Set warm bread on a chipped white plate, and let silence do what words couldn't make. Claire said I wrote 1,000 times, but shame kept stealing every line. So I brought this letter back to you. I didn't know what else to do. Nellie held it but never read, just kissed the rain from her daughter's head. Said, child, the Father brought you here, and love don't need a perfect prayer. By morning light the storm had passed, the sun touched diamonds on the grass, and Claire walked down that gravel road with her mama's hand in her own. There was mercy